I mean, if you're picking this card up for $5 and then you're selling huge amounts of them at $35, you are going to be making a huge amount of profit. The Sun and Moon era of Pokemon brought about Pokemon tag teams, which are some of my absolute favourites. Today, we're going to take a look at the tag team promos and see what their movement in the market is at the moment. Let's get into the cards, discuss the prices, and have a look at the arts along the way. First, we have the Arita Magikarp and Wailord GX. I absolutely love this pairing, derpy Pokemon. As you can see over the past year, this card has absolutely skyrocketed. January seems to be the real launching point for this card, so around end of December, start of Jan, it was hovering around that $31 mark. And then if we look at recent sales, it has skyrocketed up to $70. So huge increase for the card over not too long a period of time. And this has had relatively consistent growth. It's not like what we've seen with recent cards like the Greninja Gold Star promo that's actually just skyrocketed overnight. This has been, I mean, still fairly strong growth, but consistently strong growth. We've not had any real like just straight vertical lines, which is kind of reassuring, and it makes sense because this card is like a few years old now, so you'd expect these promos to start increasing in value over that time period. I wouldn't say there's anything suspicious about this one. I mean, it is just a lovely card, but it'd be interesting to see if this starts to level out at all, or if we'll see a lot more sort of growth for this and it hover around that $100 mark. Up next, we have the Kawaii Pikachu and Zekrom GX Sun and Moon promo. Again, a legendary Pokemon and Pikachu. There's always going to be that additional sort of tax on it. As you can see over the past year, in July it was a $20 card, and now we are looking at $102 on the market history. But then when we go into the actual listings for the card, light play at $198, near mint $240, near mint $250. I mean, the artwork on this card is lovely, but I can't see this one having that much value behind it, really. I think that, again, you do have that sort of Pikachu tax on this card. It's a lovely artwork, but I wouldn't call this one a $250 card, in my opinion. However, we now have the Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno GX Sun and Moon promo. In my opinion, this is one of the most incredible promo cards we've ever had. I mean, the stained glass birds is truly incredible. I would try and pronounce the artist's name, but I don't want to do anyone any disservice here. This card has had a bit more of a suspicious growth. As you can see, it was hovering around the $16 this time last year, which is actually criminal for this card. It is absolutely incredible. But then, as you can see, we had like a slight increase over sort of January, February, where it went up to $34-ish, which again, great price for this card. But then when we head over to the end of May, you can see we were at $44, $45-ish. And then out of nowhere, it started to shoot up to $75. Now, realistically, we know that this card is going for a lot more than this at the moment. If you look at the current listings available for it, a light play at $110, near mint $110, near mint $120, but I've seen listings on eBay going for around the $150 mark plus. So you can see that this card is absolutely skyrocketing, and this sort of vertical line here really highlights something. I don't want to go as far to say suspicious, but it is definitely starting to head that way as it is such an overnight increase. Growth had happened over maybe the course of a few months, it'd be a bit more realistic. However, as we know, there are so many pump and dump groups out there at the moment that this kind of growth may start to err on the side of suspicious. Moving into a slightly less desirable tag team here now. Still a fantastic Arita artwork, Trevenant and Dusk Noir. This card, as you can see, has had a mammoth growth recently. This time last year, it was a $5 card. I've picked this one up in Japanese, I think, for maybe £3, around that $4 mark. And as you can see here, as of realistically a couple of weeks ago, it has skyrocketed from that sort of $9, $10 mark up to 17 on here. But then when we dive into the current for sale listings, you have a Chinese one, so obviously we don't count that, but a near mint listing for the card going for $35, which is double what this market price is listed at the moment. Again, the fact that another tag team promo is starting to shoot up in that sort of vertical line does start to flag as a bit suspicious, in the sense of there's a lot of potential for this card to be picked up super cheap and then sold on at a much higher price. And I mean, if you're picking this card up for $5 and then you're selling huge amounts of them at $35, you are going to be making a huge amount of profit there quite quickly. So you can see why this card would be a potential target for things like these pump and dump groups that we're seeing pop up more and more. Up next, we have the Venusaur and Snivy GX Yukimori promo. I absolutely love this card. Anything Yukimori does is incredible in my opinion. This is a card that I actually picked up not too long ago for around £30 or sort of $40-ish. We look at the growth of this card, again, a lot of these promos are having this kind of vertical line moment where it's not that consistent gradual increase, it's just like an overnight surge. So this time last year, it was hovering around $13 or about £10 if you're in the UK. And then you can see the end of Feb, $20. Again, realistic growth to sort of creep up consistently over the course of a few months. But then you can see that from Feb until the end of like Feb, start of March, it shot up to $30. So again, quite a notable increase to happen over just a few weeks. And then again, it's gone from 30 up to now 40. But when we dive into the for sale listings, a lightly played one for $100 and then a near mint one at $150. I'm not quite sure how we can have such a jump from last sales hovering around the $60 mark to now going up to $150 a few weeks later. Again, if this was just in isolation, you could almost have that argument of, well, it's a Yukimori. Yukimori is very desirable. The same with the Arita cards. But the fact that all of these tag team promos are starting to suddenly surge in value or proposed value does start to flag as potential market manipulation. Again, when it comes to Pokemon promos, because these are cards that were so readily available and easy to pick up, people have been storing them or have hoovered up loads of copies, especially when you could pick this up for $13 a year ago. And now, a year later, that 13 is now 130. So that is a massive increase over not too long a period of time. Like, yes, these cards are out of print, but again, to have that sudden surge like we're seeing at the moment does start to raise a few question marks. The same with the Himeno, Charizard, and Braxian GX promo. Again, this card features Charizard, so like we've seen with the Pikachu card, you do have the Charizard Tux. This card has had a bit more consistent growth, I'd say, compared to the others. This time last year, hovering around the $30 mark, started to creep up to the 40s, and then as of this month has hit the sort of $50 mark. But again, when we go into the for sale listings at the moment, light play at $100, near mint hollow foil at $158. Again, this is so much higher than what we're seeing the market price average listed at. And again, the consistent trend, we're seeing these promos shoot up double, triple what market is supposedly meant to be, again, overnight. Again, this card, lovely artwork, very vibrant, nice sort of theme and posing of the characters. And again, featuring Charizard is going to be a bit more desirable for collectors, especially those that are, say, like newer to the hobby and looking to collect either their favorite cards, their favorite Pokemon being Charizard, or people that are trying to sort of catch up on the sets that they missed if they've only recently rejoined or started the hobby. So going to tag teams, which again, my personal favorite, I've tried to pick up quite a few of these previously, but I won't be at these current prices. Next, we have the Casino Espeon and Deoxys promo. Again, this is a fantastic artwork. It features an Evolution and a Deoxys. So again, two really big hitting Pokemon. Fantastic artwork as well. Really like how this one's put together. You can see that the market for this one had that kind of explosion point at the end of sort of February, start of March time, where it just was creeping up like almost $10 a week, which is pretty substantial when you think of the sort of growth that we see for other cards. And again, as this is a promo card, these were readily available for a lot of people. This time last year, $21, currently market average at $65. We dive into listings like play $100, near mint $110, near mint $150. It seems to be a very consistent thing that these tag team promos, for one reason or another, are now just about $100. Which again, it does seem a bit suspicious that we're seeing such big jumps overnight again on these cards. A $40 card is now a $120 card, a $20 card being $100, and so on. It's getting a bit, again, suspicious. It would not be the most surprising thing if these tag team promos, tag teams are beloved set, but these promos in particular getting picked up because they were so readily available and now being sold at much higher prices. From one evolution to another, we have the Sotaro, Umbreon, and Darkrai GX promo. Again, you've got the Umbreon tax, big evolution, huge fan favourite, and we know that the market goes crazy for an Umbreon. Darkrai, very cool Pokemon as well. This is a huge bit of growth here. This is as close to a vertical line as you're going to get realistically. End of November, $42. End of Feb, 102. It did see another surge up to 130, but then has started to level out. This could be a sign that people are sort of wising up to the fact that people are manipulating the market a bit, or the fact that people are seeing how much these cards are now going for and are deciding that it's too much for them, which is understandable, especially when it's a promo card. If it was something that was, say, 15 years old, you'd maybe understand it a bit more, because a promo card to survive that sort of length of time would be quite an impressive feat. So to get one of those near mint, you'd happily pay it. But for a card that realistically is what, say, like 5 years old, it's a bit strange. When we look at the for sale listings, Chinese, so we'll disregard that one, but near mint 140, light play 150, near mint 150, light play 170, near mint 200, near mint 250. The prices again for this card just seem to be shooting up, and again being listed at sort of double what the market suggests it should be. I mean, 117, and then we're seeing listings up to 200, 250. It's starting to, again, when we look at these cards in isolation, it's a bit different. But when you group them all together and you're seeing this sort of movement, it does start to get a bit suspicious. It's like every single tag team promo has like tripled in value really quickly. And again, if we go into the Reshiram and Charizard done by AKYCG Works, I'm not the biggest fan of this artwork, I will say. I don't like these weird like gold outlined cards. But again, you've got a legendary and you've got Charizard, so you'd expect some kind of price to reflect that. But again, if we look over the past year, this card was $10 a year ago, and now it's saying around the $22 mark. And then we're seeing a light play at 27. Realistically, you could say that this card would be around $35, maybe more for a near mint, probably closer to sort of 40 to 50 range. Which again, this isn't the most suspicious, but again, that kind of price surge is a bit questionable. And for it to have had like a dip and then another one, this is a much cheaper example that people are able to pick up and then flip for a lot more profit. So again, this is one that I'll be keeping an eye on just to see what the kind of movement stays at and to see whether or not it stays questionable. Up next, we have the Garchomp and Giratina GX promo by Anaseki Dynamic. Again, fantastic card, features one of my favourite Pokemon in Giratina, and also Garchomp is a pseudo legendary that is a big fan favourite as well, so you can expect a bit of a premium on this one. A year ago, this card was hovering around $17, dropped down to 16 in October, but then again, as of the end of sort of mid to late January, started to creep up to $26. A lot of vertical line movements here on this card, going from $26 up to 40, and then creeping up to 45, and then now being at that sort of $63 range. If you scroll down to actual sale listings again, light play $100, near mint $200. So we're seeing huge surges again for these promo cards. Again, this one is a fantastic one. Really like the artwork, the styling, the Pokemon that it's featured. But again, when you're going from $20 to $200 in the space of 12 months, that is quite a crazy increase. Again, these cards are out of print, but it's so daft that someone's just got this and gone, yeah, quick hold, now $200. Up next, we have the Mewtwo and Mew GX promo. This is a fantastic artwork. Obviously, Mewtwo looking fed up at the front, and then the really cute Mew in the background being a little mischievous bugger. If you scroll down and look at the prices on this one, a year ago, this card was $44-ish. Then you can see that over the course of 12 months, it's been consistently going up and has had a few of these sort of big spikes of, at the start of March, $72 to then mid-April, $100, and then from April to now, $150. We look at the sale listings, a light play for $300. So again, these tag team promos are just going absolutely crazy at the moment. Again, these sorts of movements do seem highly suspicious that, yes, they're great cards. I absolutely love them. But for something to go from being sort of $50 to then $100 to now $200 plus in such a short space of time, it does start raising a few question marks. And then finally, we have the Pikachu and Zekrom by 5-band graphics. Again, not the biggest fan of this artwork myself. You can see why some people would like it, but this sort of style of card is not for me. Again, the gold, the outline colours of the Pokemon. Again, you're going to have the legendary and the Pikachu tax here, so expect some kind of rises. But this graph is so hard for it to have been a literal $5 card a year ago to having a massive surge from $10 up to 23, so over doubling in price, to then drop back down to 15, only to shoot back up to 31, have another drop, and then shoot back up. It just seems like people are buying up loads of them, trying to sell while it's high, and then buying them all up again when the market dips and people wise up to it. Seen a near mint listing here for $35. We're seeing that the average here is about 28. So it's not the biggest and most dramatic movement, but it's still an odd movement to see. And all of these tag team promos are starting to move that way. So it does start to beg the question, what is actually sort of going on behind the scenes? Is it just more people are trying to catch up on sets that they potentially missed out on? They want to pick up some more tag teams. Or is it a classic case of market manipulation where these cards are being bought out quite cheap in bulk to then be flipped at higher prices just so people can make a quick buck? And that's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what your favourite card we discussed today was, or whether or not you think that this is actual market growth or a bit suspicious market manipulation. But for now, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe for more market insights, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Pokey Strongman out.